my name is Karina Jackson, and I am a nurse consultant at St John's. I've worked in research in the past, and research is at the heart of what we do at St John's. It's also at the heart of what we do at the Psoriasis Association. It's one of our main aims is to promote, fund research into the causes, nature and care of psoriasis, and to publish and disseminate the results of that research. And research cannot happen without people with psoriasis. And we have three wonderful people here with me today who are here to share their experiences of being involved in some element of research. So when we heard David introduce his slides earlier, he was talking about how patients and public can get involved in research in many different forms. And really the quest for us in research is to work collaboratively with people with psoriasis or psoriatic arthritis. And there is a whole range of ways that you could be doing that. It may be you're involved in a clinical study. It may be that you're working in some advisory capacity. It may be that you're in various committees. And our participants today can tick several of those boxes off. So I'm going to introduce who they are. So firstly, Olivia Hughes in the middle. Dr. Olivia Hughes is a research associate at the School of Psychology in Cardiff University, and she's working on a project actually funded by another skin charity called Deborah UK, developing a support toolkit for parents of children with EB. And she has an interest in psychology and dermatology from her own experience of growing up with severe psoriasis. And Olivia holds several patient roles, including being an associate editor on the British Journal of Dermatology, a patient representative on Bad Beer, which we've heard mentioned several times today, and also the Welsh charity Skin Care Cymru. We also have, lost my page, bear with me, Katie Farmer, who is a mother of two and so is with us for just a couple of hours while she's got childcare this afternoon. She leads a creative production team across Europe, Middle East and Africa in one of the world's largest independent PR and communications companies. And so she's actually got involved in psoriasis, supporting the development of the My Skin work, which came about through So Protect. But Katie also has psoriasis and has had for 15 years and is now receiving a biologic therapy and is on the PLAN study, which we could hear a little bit about. And then Adam Bushby at the end here. Adam is a recent new trustee of the Psoriasis Association, but he also lives and works in London as a lawyer. And he was diagnosed with psoriasis in his teens and psoriatic arthritis at the age of 19 and has lived with severe disease for many years, I'd say decades. Yes. And has received multiple biologic therapies and continues to be under the care of both a dermatologist and rheumatologist. So thank you all, welcome. And really, I think what we want to do today in the 10 minutes we probably got left is really just hear about really what motivated you to get involved and share some of those experiences. So let's start with that question. What inspired you to get involved in research or patient advocacy in the psoriasis community? Can I start with you, Katie?
Yeah, absolutely. I was fortunate enough to work with the clinical team at St Guy's and Thomas's during the pandemic to help build out this, what was So Protect and what is now a My Skin study platform, which was a reporting tool for globally for dermatologists to report the impacts of COVID on those who were getting treatment for psoriasis. Lucky enough to be able to do that, and off the back of that was actually no one knew that I had psoriasis at the time. Until I spoke to Catherine, invited me to come in and speak to her and was like, so lucky enough to have this incredible treatment. Lucky enough to have this incredible treatment that's completely transformed my life. Like it couldn't be any more different now. And I was so incredibly grateful. What inspired me to get involved was, you know, the struggle that I went through living with psoriasis, the transformational impact of being able to take this biologic and the incredible lengths that these like magicians, quite frankly, go to be able to get, you know, people who are in a situation which sometimes you can feel completely drowning and lost. And I'm sure lots of people, you know, that have psoriasis that are in here understand exactly what I mean by that. So yeah, I wanted to do whatever I could to possibly help. And the fact that I benefited off the back of that by having my life transformed was the reason I'm still very much involved in, you know, what can be.
Thank you. And Adam, I know you have been involved in drug trials where you've actually been, there's been a gamble really whether you'll actually get the drug because they're blinded with a placebo.
Absolutely.
So that's quite a commitment to take on, isn't it? Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I mean, I got involved for enlightened self-interest. I'm entirely honest about that. I had, this was in the early 2000s, early noughties. I'd been on methotrexate and acitretin together. I was getting to the point where I couldn't force myself to take the methotrexate because of the side effects I was having, and it wasn't really fixing me. I was very, very lucky one day. I was at King's College Hospital, and the rheumatologist there said, would you be interested in trying a new treatment? So my ears pricked up and I thought, goodness, this wasn't the conversation I was expecting to have. And I got referred across to Guy's and St Thomas's. Actually, initially to the rheumatology department, Professor Bruce Kirkham, who is trialling a brand new drug, infliximab, in psoriatic arthropathy. And yes, it was double-blinded. But it was blindingly obvious too, within about 2 or 3 weeks, that I was on the real jungle juice and not on placebo. He was slightly disappointed at first. He tells this story, I gather, at conferences, because I came bounding in to see him, rather than sort of crawling in previously. And it was terrible. He used to tell him that my skin was just about clear, couldn't believe it. And he said, no, yeah, but you know, I'm the rheumatologist, what about your joints? And it took a little bit longer for that to happen. But it was utterly transformational, utterly transformational. The change in my life, at one point I'd had a PASI of 28, and I had wall-to-wall psoriasis everywhere, effectively. It was a nightmare. Impossible to treat, we all know how, and it was coal tar and all the treatments that I'm sure many people have had. So yeah, beautiful. Started a long journey. I wasn't on that for terribly long because unfortunately I failed on it, and then as a lot of people do, I've been through other biologicals, and then I had another chance to be on a trial, again at Guy's and St Thomas's, this time run by dermatology, thank you, on a secukinumab, which again I found fascinating, really worked well for me. People worry about adverse effects, I think, when they go on these trials. And I did have something crop up, but it wasn't actually in connection with the treatment. But they did stop the trial for me, which I was a bit disappointed about because I was doing really rather well on it. But what I would say to you is, the efforts of Guy's and St Thomas's, after they'd managed to prove it wasn't the causative factor, they managed to persuade the manufacturer to put me back on it again, which was fabulous. So I would encourage any of you who have the opportunity to take part in the trial, do it. I have a wife at home who's a pharmacist who's awfully cautious. I think she reads everything very carefully before I'm allowed to do anything. But even she was quite happy for me to do it. So thank you. So do please, if you get the chance, take part.
Thank you. And Olivia, you haven't been involved in any drug trials, but I think you were interviewed once in a qualitative research project, weren't you, for an MSc student. How did you find that? Were you sort of being probed into sort of very personal questions about living with psoriasis? How was the experience?
Yeah, I think similarly to what you both have said, I think I've had a similar experience. I think for me, growing up during childhood with psoriasis, it was incredibly difficult, and having had erythrodermic psoriasis, like you mentioned a bit about the methotrexate, going through all the different drugs, I think coming to the point where I was put on biologics and my psoriasis is well controlled, I felt able to talk about that experience. And I think having the opportunity to contribute to a master's project where you talk about the impact of psoriasis is not just on your skin, how that impacts everything from day-to-day life, how you feel, your mood, how you feel about yourself. It really does have such a massive impact, and I don't think I need to go into detail on that, as we all know that it's more than just a skin condition. But I think being able to verbalise that and share that experience with a researcher and have an opportunity to contribute to sort of the literature base, the ongoing research is really empowering. And I felt that taking part in that, I felt quite validated, very seen, and I think, it's a really powerful experience, and I think that I would strongly encourage anybody to put their experience towards research because it is so important. And then again, sort of having the opportunity to take part in BABBIA and be the patient representative on that panel, it just shows how such a study on such a large scale that's producing such important results and real-world data is placing patients at the centre, and I think that just speaks for itself and how valuable and important it is to share those experiences in ongoing research.
I should say, if anybody does want to ask a question of our panel, please do put your hand up, because it's a great opportunity to get some insights of questions you might have about being involved in research. So, Katie, you're on the PLAN study. So have you got the app?
I do.
You do have the app. So how do you find using technology? Because this is a sort of, looks to be like the way forward in a lot of research now. How does that feel?
Well, I'm in a bit of a weird place because I'm very much a millennial, so I didn't grow up with it, but it is what I do every day for a living. So I have been able to also help contribute to the flow of the app, the content of the app, how it best works, and then obviously feeding into and watching how other people are feeding into the app and the data that's coming from that is really informative in terms of how we then adjust that moving forward prior to its launch. And there's been tons of data that's come back from it, which is really, really good. Super simple, super easy to use. It's not annoying. It doesn't like buzz all the time or anything like that, but it's very, very clear, very, very simple. And I think, honestly, anyone could use it. Anyone that can remotely open a smartphone will be able to use it without any problem.
Good to know. The research team down there. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands. So I've heard a lot of benefits for being involved in research, a lot of positives, empowerment, control, and what about working with Olivia particularly? Well, actually, Katie too. How does it feel about working alongside healthcare professionals? Because that's quite a change in the dynamic of patient, doctor, or healthcare professional, isn't it? How's it been?
For me, I'm all constantly in awe of everyone's level of education and and expertise, because that's definitely not, it's very much your area in a slightly different way, but very much not my area. So I love working alongside the healthcare professionals. I come off every call fully enlightened. But I also love the fact that they empower me to be able to lay down my expertise. Which in the areas in which I excel, which is really great.
So you felt valued.
I love it, and they're so kind and so brilliant and so knowledgeable. What is otherwise a very mild inconvenience in terms of an hour or so, like once a month, is absolutely 110% worth it.
Great. And just before we get to the audience, Olivia, what's it like working? I mean, I know there are some people in the room that might not want to hear the answer, but what is it like working with people in BABBIA?
It's fantastic. I think, it's a privilege to have such a position, and I think the team of researchers, clinicians, some of which are in the audience, are absolutely brilliant, and the passion that goes into running such a big study. But as I said, I think it's just the fact that patients are given a position on that steering committee really just shows how valued patients' experiences are, and having that opportunity to contribute is brilliant, and I'm very grateful to be part of it.
Great. We do have a question over here.
Yes, I feel the warmth coming over from the three people there, and how wonderful it must be. But how on earth does the general psoriasis sufferer get involved in a research project?
Oh, that's such a good question.
I
answer
find it
to
difficult even getting the attention of a dermatologist.
Yes. Well, as David had in his slides earlier, there is something called the NIHR, so that's the National Institute of Health Research, that have a website, and you can put searches into that to find out where there are studies going on in your area. So you can actually make the approach directly as somebody with psoriasis if you identify a study going on locally. Also, on the Psoriasis Association website, they've got a tab for research, And where's our research lead? Where is she? Over there. Take part in research. But there are descriptions there of lots of studies going on in the UK, and they may be for therapies, drugs. They may well be for surveys or observational studies. And that will be continuously updated.
Thank you. Actually, I have done that.
Great.
I did apply 2 years ago for, there's so many abbreviations
Yes.
in plan, but I'm 70 now, so I wouldn't be considered.
Oh, for the
too
drug
old.
treatments.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think you've got a lot to tell us about, and I think you'd want that. Wouldn't you want him to join? You tell us.
Yes, I mean certainly on the St John's research website there's also links to studies. So contact us because I think certainly contributing your information and is agnostic to age, and certainly we're very keen to get all of the psoriasis, people with psoriasis, all ages and stages, involved in designing and delivering research. So as a participant, definitely interested in you for the observational stuff. As somebody to contribute to the design and delivery, definitely yes as well. Age is no barrier.
Great. There's another question here, and then I think
I wanted to say, just by coming here, by being here at the Psoriasis Association, it's all about networking. And this gentleman has just asked a question, and he's got all the answers. So I just think that is absolutely fantastic. It's about networking, speaking to people, and we all here have something in common, and we meet new people, and we can all come and help with research just by asking questions, just by Karina and this lovely board here telling us what's been going on, and it's helped us all. So thank you again.
Thank you, Michael. I think we need to wrap up now. So just to wrap up, I mean, that was very short and sweet, but insightful and really helpful and encouraging. So I do hope that everybody here who has psoriasis might feel a little bit more optimistic about the future for psoriasis, because we've heard some amazing research reports today. There's so much going on, and there's still so many opportunities to get involved. So please do. Thank you.